Thank you very much, Heidi. Firstly, thank you very much for having me and having me talk at this conference. I'm pretty excited to talk here, and I'm really looking forward to this presentation. So let me start off. Everyone's able to see my screen right now.
Yes, we can see your screen perfectly.
Great. So my topic for today is leveraging digital productivity and human creativity to drive your I 4.0 strategy. It seems like quite a complex topic, but in reality, this is pretty simple. And we're going to keep this presentation pretty simple with some pointers on how to move forward. But the point of this presentation is to portray our simple insights as a company and to focus on what is important while navigating the waters of the fourth industrial revolution. So as we all know, things are constantly changing right now. And the world is a different place from one day to the next. I think COVID has illustrated that, but long before COVID, a lot of things have been happening. We're focusing on...
Yes, sir. Let me briefly translate a little bit. Lloyd 他现在的主要的 presentation 主题呢，会 focus 在如何在企业的一些导入的一些经验，而且在现在这个整个经营环境剧烈的变化之下，我相信4.0工业4.0都是很多人关心的一个项目所以他主要会简单的介绍一下我们 ENCONA 在这方面辅导跟过去的一些成绩跟一些概念分享。Please go ahead.
So we're focusing on two things, as the title suggests. And one is where to use digital or machine-based systems to create efficiency and to create a competitive advantage for your business. The second one is where to use human creativity and ingenuity to drive and improve the systems that run your business, right? And while we go through this, I would like to use, we are a consulting and a training organization. We work with a lot of clients. We've worked on a lot of projects, but obviously we will illustrate the use of these concepts by using our own experience within ENCONA and then just drawing some parallels to industry.
就我刚刚稍微翻译一样因为像我们现在非常的依赖我们整个的软体或是一些 software 的一些辅助，希望可以，尤其是希望可以加速我们人员工作的一些效率，让我们在这上面可以做更好的一些发挥。那 ENCONA 在过去呢也有一些辅导一些知名的一些企业这样相关的一些经验，那在接下来会跟大家简单做分享。Please.
Yeah. So I'm going to start with a little story. When I was young, to teach me about budgeting, my father used an example or he used an illustration with buckets. He took a number of buckets and put them out on the table. And then he took a number of pieces of paper and we labeled each bucket for budgeting. Then we took my pocket money or the money I had and we divided that money between those buckets. And that is how I basically learned about budgeting, right? So this is a very simple example that's got absolutely nothing to do with I 4.0, but I'm going to come back to this example or this story once or twice through this presentation.
好，刚刚 Lloyd 呢，先简单的分享一下他爸爸以前怎么教他budgeting 怎么做预算，就是简单的用一些纸条，上面写的一些数字，上面让他去用实体的一些纸条来去做计算，但是这是一个非常原始的方法。
Okay. As we move forward, right, we're going to put the buckets aside and we're going to worry about what happened. I mean, everyone here knows the story. There's nothing new here, but I just want to give you a brief overview that we will continue to use through the presentation. The first industrial revolution we experienced was in the 18th and 19th century, right? And it revolved around power. So the steam engine, the loom was obviously the first machine that was created, but the first industrial revolution was around power. Okay?
在我们人类过去的一些历史上面，第一次的工业革命呢，就是在18、19世纪的时候，那时候有蒸汽引擎这样子的一个新的 跟 energy power 能力有关的能源有关的一些新的 revolution 新的革命，带来第一次的工业革命。
The second industrial revolution, which was in the 19th and 20th century, was around the production line. We all know the story about Ford and the invention of the production line and how much it did for the world. And then we come to the third industrial revolution, which was the microchip in the 1960s through to the 1980s. And then in the early 2000s, we come to the fourth industrial revolution, which was around, well, we all know it, but IoT, big data, and smart systems.
那接下来呢？第二次的工业革命，当然大家有听过福特的故事，他建造了一个所谓的生产线的概念。那接下来有第三甚至第四次的工业革命，第三次呢是因为有 microchip 芯片这样子的一些电脑或是电子程式的一些辅助，一直到现在这些设备都有连上网，所以有一些 smart 工业的一些概念形成了。
So we'll come back to the story about buckets. The idea with the third, fourth, and fifth industrial revolutions, to me and to what I've seen and to, I think, a good few people out there, is it is just classification. It is the same thing I was doing with those buckets in the budget. Now, we all know that classification and generalization aids learning. So in other words, putting things in buckets is always the easiest way to explain them. But for this presentation, I don't need us to worry about a third, a fourth, or a fifth industrial revolution, because as far as we're concerned right now, what we're talking about is automation, right? And from the 1960s till today, this has been the big concern.
好，不好意思啊，我再简单的翻译一下。所以他刚刚提到，一开始他提到爸爸用纸条去教他这种数学的一些方法，或是以前的一些工业革命概念，他提到一个关键字叫做 classification 分类，但是一直不管是第三、第四次后面的这些工业革命都是 classification 这样子分类的一个观念，但是呢，到现在呢，如果是最新的一些技术呢，告诉我们的是所谓的自动化 automation. Yes, please.
Okay. So what we're trying to achieve and what we need to achieve as consulting agencies like ENCONA, businesses, tier ones, manufacturers, even countries as a whole, there is a race at the moment to automate, because to automate is to make efficient, right? To automate is to produce while you're sleeping. To automate is to create wealth. So our focus right now in the industrial revolution we're engaged in is automation. And that automation means automating production. It means automating logistics, administration, data and information, and communication. And that's what we're trying to do here. So please keep that in mind as we work through.
所以当我们说到这些所谓的自动化的时候，它是一种机会，但是相对来说也是一种风险。它会在我们的生产、在我们的物流，或甚至在我们的行政上面都可以协助我们自动化，或甚至在我们在睡觉的时候，它就协助我们自动化。但是我们要怎么管控它呢？它其中也有相关的风险。Please.
Thank you. So, interestingly enough, ENCONA and now all the technology we work with, like most other companies in the modern world, but our roots come from the second industrial revolution, and our roots come from industrial engineering, right? This is our core discipline. And we do two things mainly. We consult and we train. But we were founded in the 2000s, and the interesting part of being in industrial engineering since then is seeing the evolution of systems and processes, especially over the last 15 years. And given the group of people in the audience today, I don't think I need to go into too much detail on how things have changed or what has changed. We've all seen it around us. We've all witnessed machines or computers making our lives and jobs easier, or making us able to do more with less time.
嗯，好的。那就像他刚刚提到，其实我们不用特别强调这个，我们整个的技术已经变更非常多。身为我们上一个世纪成立的公司，当然我们原本也是做所谓的 consulting 咨询，所以我们咨询协助客户学习，然后帮他们做培训，这是我过往的一些培训的经验。
So the methodology we've developed as ENCONA is simple. It is very simple. We would go to a client site when the business started, and the first thing we would do is either audit, do an assessment, or do a gap analysis, right? The purpose of that when going to a client site was simply to identify what their pain points or issues were that we could help with. Next, you carry on.
所以一开始呢，这是我们基础最原始的方法。第一个，我们会去顾客那边帮他做 assessment， 去做一些预评，让他们知道他目前做不好的地方，他们的痛点在哪里。
Next, we would design training and work with our customers' teams to develop competencies to close the gap, right? That was the second step. The third step was also to work within the system and implement changes on the client's site as per what they needed to close that gap. And this is a very simple process that ENCONA engaged in, and I think a lot of other companies too.
好，sorry interrupt that。所以呢，基本上我们做完 pre-assessment， 知道你们的痛点以后呢，针对这些分析出来的一些差距，我们来培训、教导你一些相关的知识。接下来在实务导入的阶段，我们会陪着客户，教他们怎么去实际去操作，去做导入的动作。这是大部分或是在目前很多的咨询的公司都是这样做的。Please go ahead.
Now, our methodology has not changed. We still do exactly the same as we've always done. It's just in the past, when we went in and helped our clients, most of the work we did was paper-based or computer-based, Excel, Word, very simple programs, working with pretty simple technology to help solve often not so simple problems. But the process we work with now looks completely different. When we come to an implementation phase and a training phase, the tools we need are no longer pen and paper or Word and Excel.
所以刚刚所提到的现在其实我们的一些做法还是非常类似，但是呢，我不再只用纸跟笔来做这样子的培训了。
This is the toolkit we work with. This is the toolkit we work with as ENCONA and that you work with in industry to help make processes more efficient and more autonomous, right? So a lot of the tools you're seeing in front of you here, this was a study we did of what we really see as the high impact technologies for the fourth industrial revolution. And when in the past we could get away with Microsoft Excel, we could get away with Word, and we could get away with pen and paper. Now we need to move with a lot more tools to be able to create processes or to be able to create processes that are still competitive with your peer groups.
在以往呢，我们刚刚提到都是用纸本的或甚至用简单的 Word 跟 Excel 档来做相关的一些管理流程管理就可以了。但现在在你们荧幕上面所看到的这些新的一些科技这是我们现在不可避免一定要使用的这些科技，或甚至所谓系统上面的一些软体因为环境的一些趋势身为我们工业里面的这些生产者，我们必须要学会使用这些工具。
Now my point here is 80% of this technology we work with is not ENCONA's technology. We partner with a number of organizations out here. So I'm in no way trying to illustrate how much technology we have. We are a very specialized company. But what I am trying to illustrate with this slide is how much technology you need to know and understand and have an overview of to stay competitive or to keep your processes competitive and to lead towards autonomy. As I said previously, our methodology on how we help our customers has not changed, but the tools we need to help them has changed in a massively accelerated way. And the complexity that we bring, or that any organization needs to bring in the modern world, is just changing at such a rapid rate.
Yeah， 所以刚刚提到哈，这个是Lloyd 他特别强调我们必须要使用的。那当然，我们 ENCONA 也不是这些程式软体的这些发明者，或是这些开发的工程师，而是我们当然还是参照我们在前页里面所提到的传统这一些思考的一些模式。但是呢，我们会这些工具，而且是协助你们使用这些软体来去做实际的一些导入。
Okay. So when we think Industry 4.0 factory, I think this is the picture that comes to mind. This is the picture I could find that spoke to me. We have a whole lot of different technologies represented here, from machines, 3D printing, ERP systems, autonomous office systems, basically clean renewable energy, etc., etc. This is the picture that's in everyone's mind, right?
这个是大家如果想到4.0的时候，脑中应该会浮想的一些概念。你有 ERP， 你有3D 列印，你有这个所谓云端分享的一些科技，你还有一些新的 EP， 然后等等相关的一些新的科技都在你的脑海里面。
But I think often when you actually go out into industry, and I think when you spend time in factories, the picture normally does not look like this. We still see a lot of factories looking this way, and this is normal. This is the current state of industry. But I think the important.
Sorry， 虽然4.0都已经想到这样子，但是其实你回想看看你自己的工厂，其实还是像下面这张图一样，好像还是没有什么太大的改变。Sorry, please go ahead.
No problem. Our goal in this revolution is about autonomous manufacturing, or what has been dubbed the lights out factory. So a lights out factory is a factory where you don't actually need to keep the lights running, because humans are only there to play support roles, right? So I have heard of large scale manufacturing facilities running multiple complex processes, operating completely autonomously. We've all heard stories. I have never seen it, right? From what I've seen in industry, when you move into most factories, the status of autonomy is somewhere between these two. You get autonomous processes. I have seen very few autonomous systems, but autonomy is generally something we are working towards. It is not something we have achieved.
这个是提到了哈，我们在工业4.0里面提到一个概念叫做关灯，或是所谓的熄灯工厂。熄灯工厂就代表我们在现场在工厂或是办公室的现场是一个人都没有的。那你可以想想看，其实我们目前到这个熄灯工厂其实还有很大一段的距离。我们有一些个别的流程是有这样子所谓的 autonomous 是有一些自动化的一些管理的方式，但是我们有办法在整个工厂、整个系统里面、各个系统里面、各个流程里面都做到自动化吗？ Just go ahead.
So if we had to speak to the current status of the autonomous revolution, we could clearly and I think confidently say that it is in progress. A lot of companies claim that they are very far along, and that may be so. That's not the debate here. The debate is just that there's a lot of work to be done by everyone right now to automate their processes and to work towards this state. I must say, I am saying to you that, you know, when you go out into industry, things are not all as autonomous as people as people think it is, right? If you speak to someone who doesn't work in our world. But at the same time, things are changing at a rate that is frightening, and I think everyone can agree with that. If we look at the world today and a factory today versus a factory 15 years ago, it is almost a different place.
当然，他刚刚提到，其实当然我们是一直都有进步的，只是当很多公司或是在过去我们去 们跟客户协助去做这些自动化的一些导入或者程式的时候呢，会发现其实在跟不同的领域，或者是邀请外部的软体的工程师来去做自动化的时候呢，他们的想法跟我们自己公司里面内部的人，工厂里面的想法不一定是相同的。Please go ahead.
So we believe that within the next 50 years, autonomous factories will become the norm. And people ask me, what does the factory of the future look like? And this is basically what I would give. The factory of the future has generally got a smart supply chain with autonomous and just-in-time logistics. It has smart systems with predictive capabilities and maintenance. It has data analytics and efficient data flow into an advanced digital twin. It has remote and centralized management with advanced site integration capabilities. In other words, you are able to manage multiple factories from one point. You are able to build a management team in one place that can run 10, 15, 20, 30 sites. It has obviously fully autonomous lines that handle manufacturing, and it has a workforce that supports and maintains and innovates.
好的，那当然 Lloyd 也提到哈，当然这个自动化一定是不可避免的一个趋势，所以在他的 presentation 哈下面他列出来，在这个工厂里面哈，在做自动化里面，在未来一定会遇到的会使用的一些技术。好，那因为时间关系，我就不一一翻译出来。You go ahead.
All right, so how do we achieve that? I mean, again, we've defined that that is the future state. That is not the current state. I do not think there are a lot of organizations in the world that have that capability right now. What are we trying to do right now? What do we see in industry that is happening a lot and happening often? And that is systems and process development. If we had to sum up the most common phase we see a lot of our clients at in terms of autonomy, it's systems and process development. Efficient processes, so building efficient processes with the ability to scale. And what I'm trying to give an overview here is what can we focus on, or what can our clients focus on, what can anyone out there focus on to get to that future state? And the answer would be build efficient processes with the ability to scale. That's really important. Process automation through innovation and technology implementation. System design to facilitate autonomous interaction between processes. In other words, logistics between processes, goods between processes, and IoT communication between processes. Data to grow predictive maintenance and analytics. Advanced machine data and process visualization. Again, no point having a lot of data if you can't see the data. You need to be able to see it. And the constant reevaluation of process to reduce, smoother, and simplify.
好，所以刚刚呢那边所提到的呢，前面那一页呢是讲说未来应该要达到的一个目标的一个目标。那为了达到这些目标呢Lloyd 呢在这边提出了几个不管是在我们系统上面或是我们过程上面还需要再做加强再去做导入的地方，还包含如何让我们的过程更加的有效，那这些这个自动化的一些创新的一些概念呢要怎么融合在我们的过程里面，都要跟我们整体的系统还有设施设备呢都可以整合在一起。然后呢当然还有这些大数据啊，一些相关的一些数据，你当然也是必须要把它收集出来，尤其是在设备上面会在未来是一个关键的，还有包含设计设备的一些保养，这些相关的一些技术还有一些数据都是有劳我们自己要先把它建立起来的。Okay, please go ahead.
Sure. So to build this factory of the future, or to build an autonomous workplace where the manual work is being done not by people but by machines, and support work for that is being done by people, but we'll get to the people part in the second half. But to build that factory is a complex undertaking. So what what we do or what we've done to show people how to do this or to illustrate on how this gets done, I always use the analogy of a wall. So if you had to build a wall and you had already defined your target or your end state, you now need to define which bricks you need to put in that wall to be able to get to your end state. And the end state for most modern factories would be advanced digital twin and autonomous manufacturing. And then a lights out factory enable remote management. But to get to that point, to get to that final completely autonomous factory, there are a lot of technologies you need to use and integrate. And there's not just one way to do that.
是的，所以他这边所提到哈，像说的刚刚里面所提到的这些相关的一些流程，这边他更提供了一个完整的一些 roadmap。好，为了要达到我们可以熄灯工厂，好，在最上面的这个方块金字塔的这个顶端，目前我们看到为了要可以做这个熄灯工厂，而且做远端的距离遥控，下面我还包含比如说要有一些先进的数位化的一些技术。那包含这下面一个一个的一些砖块哈，这是一些我们必须要先建立的 foundation 的一些基础。Let's go ahead.
Sure. So ours is effectively a bottom-up approach, starting with your most simple technology or coming into your plant. You need to look at which of these bricks are already in place. Once you know what's in place, you can build what needs to come next. And as you build what needs to come next, you're almost starting at your bottom line with your more simple technology, and you move up and up and up. And slowly but surely, you build that full wall to get you to what your goal is. And depending on what you do, your goal doesn't need to be a full lights out factory. It could be a lot simpler. But the point is, it's always technology stacked on top of technology to get there.
所以Lloyd 这边也提到一个很好的重点啊，就是说。第一个，如果我们真的要到达这个目标，当然这下面的一的这些每一个的技术都是需要我们去建立的，当然这需要时间，所以我们也要先去评估，目前我们是真的完全就要做到熄灯工厂呢，还是我们评估我们目前的一些目标，我们可以先规划我们的短程目标，好，先从基础的一些建设技术把它连接在一起，好 ，Please go ahead.
If there's something that needs to be done over and over again, put a line of machines together to get it done. So come to conclusions later, but at this point, it's very important to note that for this section, if you need to do something over and over again and you want to be efficient at that, machines will generally do it better than people. Generally, not always.
是的，所以他这边提到如果你有一件事情是需要重复一而再再而三一直重复的去做的话，那你最好使用机械设备来做这样的事情。
Now, the next step is one of the biggest things that have come out of this industrial revolution is big data. And you need to not look further than companies like Amazon, Google. There are a ton of companies that have just shot through the roof purely based on data and efficient data analytics. Data is something I believe all companies Personally, we believe in visualized data. So it's no good having a whole lot of data and not being able to see what it does. So this is a dashboard from one of our partner companies. They measure the heartbeat of machines, for example. So not for example, that's what they do. They measure the heartbeat of machines. And they look at each little step a machine takes, and they use that to optimize the process. Now, this is just one example of data being used very efficiently.
所以这是其中我们一个所协作开发出来的产品哈。当然我们都知道一些基础是我们需要知道我们目前生产或是设备相关的一些基础的一些资讯。所以呢，比如说我们可以像这样子好像心电测量一样让你知道目前我们设备使用的一些效率、使用的一些状况，让你对自己的基础设备有更好的了解。Let's go ahead.
So it is this type of visualized data, so not just data, visualized data, that enables companies to not only make the right decision, but also see if the decisions they made were correct.
尤其是这样子 可视化、视觉化的这个管理的方法，可以协助你做决策，可以协助你做正确的决策。而且更重要的是，你可以马上去监督或是有效的知道你做的这个决策是不是正确的，可不可以带来正确的成长。Let's go ahead.
So again, if there's something that needs to be done over and over again, we say put together a line of machines if you can and get it done. Then build data and analytics into that process so that you have a clear view of the process.
所以这边提到除了一而再三需要重复执行的动作，需要用设备来去做，设备来去做。接下来呢，你应该是要有一个过程来去搜集，而且分析这些数据，那你才有清楚的一个图像视觉，知道目前过程的状况。
So at ENCONA, we've worked with some of our own technology. So as I mentioned, 80% of the technology we use comes from partners that we implement in projects. There are a lot of people who do a lot of great things in industry. We focused on a couple of things. This is called the Gamba Portal. This is what we've done in industry. So we don't just want to stand on the sidelines as a consulting and training organization and look at this revolution. We want to get involved and we want to be part of it. And what we identified as a company was process, working with the process. We build digital twins for our clients, so that complete representations of their factory. And we stream in the data from their production floor. Plus, it's in a virtual environment where people can meet and interact from anywhere in the world, right? So we've basically gone and said, this is the technology we focus on. It's virtual war rooms. It's pretty powerful. It also has bridges into industry.
这个也是我们过去直接在跟我们一些合作伙伴所开发的一个专案。这个公司叫做 Gamba， 就是我们的合作伙伴。那在这个样子的一个 VR 的一个系统里面呢，我可以协助客户在他的整个生产厂做一个 digital twin， 数位化的一个双胞胎。所以呢，与工厂里面的一些细节，包含生产的一些细节、操作的一些现场，我都可以把它用在这个 virtual reality 虚拟世界里面制造一个虚拟化的双胞胎。那这可以用在我们的员工教育训练这样子使用上的应用上。
Okay, so in effect, this technology builds a digital model of production. I'll go through this really quickly. A lot of it's been said. It meshes structured and analyzed data, and it creates a true digital twin, which in effect for our clients enables remote management, enables remote maintenance, and reduces travel.
所以除了刚刚我说到，你可以在做一些教育训练的应用上面呢，它甚至呢可以跟你那个监控系统跟你的管理系统合并在一起，所以让你可以做到远端的管理、远端的 maintenance， 还有呢去减少你这个人必须要到现场的这些交通费用。
Okay, so now we move into the second part of the presentation, and Heidi, I see I'm eating up some time, so I'll move through this a little more quickly.
Okay.
Human creativity, right? A lot of what we go through here, I think you know us already, so I'll let Heidi talk to a lot of it. But if we look at improving processes and automating processes, in my mind, The Matrix is just a movie. Machine learning is a very specific taught skill. If you want to be creative, you want to innovate, you want to make things better, you want to work with team, you need people. People drive that side of things, not machines. And it's very important as we move forward to understand that each has their place.
所以这个是一般来说我们在公司管理里面的一些循环改善的一些循环。那当然我们前面提到工业 4.0 提到的这些我们需要高科技或是更高能力的设计设备，但是呢不可否认的，如果我们真的需要改善，而且需要 innovation 去做一些更高的一些创意性的一些创造呢，我们还是需要人的能力，因为人才有这些创意创新这样子的能力，设备是没有辦法單獨產生創意的。
Okay, so as we move forward, this is a simple methodology. It's pretty common, but analyze or audit the place where work happens, analyze a system, analyze something you want to improve, set targets for improvement, collaborate together as a team, collaborate in teams across silos. It's also very important. Execute, get feedback on your project, and then assess outcomes. And this is how we drive improvement in the industry.
所以这是刚刚我们提到哈，这是我们在做改善的一些基础的循环。当然，我们会先做基础的现场的一些稽核，来了解我们在做 Gamba 的时候哈，它的一些基础的条件。接下来就会设置改善的目标，跟我们的人员去做协作，也许跟我们不一样的团队好来去做一些交流，去做想法，去做一些调整。再接下来当然就是执行。截取我们的回馈，然后再来检查我们最后的输出结果 outcome.
Okay, so humans, people, we're great. And one of the things that are really great about people is you don't need to specify everything. People will buy into a collective vision. So if you, as a CEO, COO, line leader, team leader, whatever your title might be, your team, your people, the people you work with will buy into a collective vision. So if you show them some future state, you don't need to specify every step of the way. Humans are amazing. They'll figure out how to get there. You just have to get them to want to go to the same place as you, right? We're innovators. That's what we do naturally. We're capable of learning like nothing else on earth. We're very creative problem solvers. We're intrinsically motivated. I'm not going to go into details there, but we all know that we are one of the few sort of, I think, species on Earth that'll just keep doing something for pure enjoyment. And there's so much of work that we enjoy. We strategists, we change drivers. And I think to make all of these things relevant as industry changes, as we go through this industrial revolution, it is critical that you keep upskilling your labor force, because the guys who are working on the factory floor, the job descriptions are going to change very dramatically over the next 20 to 30 years.
是的，所以刚刚提到在这些科技的变更上面，但是不可变更的一个因素还是我们组织里面的人。那在人里面呢，不管你自己本身的角色是中阶主管，或者是公司里面的高阶主管，你就要留意一下，人其实有以下这些非常不可或缺的一些素质。我们是创新的，而且我们往往都是非常有 motivated， 非常激励的。人是在这个世界上或是在地球上面唯一一种物种哈，是为了做很多工作，不是只是为了生存，而是为了我们一些激励或者是情绪上的一些激励。我们可以创造新的一些策略，而且我们可以学习用有创意的方法去解决问题，而且可以改变我们的行驶方式。所以不要忘了，永远都要记得怎么去让我们的人的这个 labor force 哈，人的这个能力呢，一直不断的去做提升。好，就算未来我们在公司的管理系统文件里面，我们的工作职掌书可能有很大的改变，但是呢，这个是我们在人的能力提升上是不可或缺的。
So if there's something that needs to be done over and over again, put together a line of machines to get it done. We've covered that. Then build data and analytics into the process so that you have a clear view of your process. Then get a team of smart people together to analyze that data and manage your business.
所以除了前面两个这个阶段以外呢，重点是你需要有一个聪明的人，聪明的一群团队来一起分析数据，而且管理你的 business.
Okay, so from here, as I mentioned earlier, and I'll just give you a quick overview, we don't just want to stand on the sidelines. I think you all know Heidi and the team. You know us as a strong training organization. And our focus as a training organization, more than anything else, is not to create the subjects we train. It is to work with industry bodies. We've got VDA QMC here, who most notably we work with, and Mr. Tillman, our esteemed colleague. VDA creates the topics we train in industry. We're a training organization. So what we do is we go out and train these topics, and we invest in developing technology that can help train each topic better so that we can deliver these concepts in a way that is easy for people to learn and retain.
众所周知，或是大家认识我们达宽 ENCONA 的一个管道，应该都知道，其实我们主业呢，我们主要是做培训的。那当然，这次我们所合作的一些单位，尤其是 VDA QMC， 包含等一下我们重要的一个讲者 Mr. Tillman 铁教授，那他也是 VDA QMC 的代表。VDA QMC 呢，他是协助在制定标准，而且提供我们这些培训的一些题目、培训的一些内容。但是呢，我们现在也 focus 关注在如何用数位的方法，让我们学习呢可以更有趣、更有效率。
Okay. So a lot of what we spend our time on is developing training technologies, augmented reality, virtual reality, video, film, animation to create online trainings. I think our two focuses in the training world and what we've seen in terms of upskilling labor force is in the modern world, you have so much access to so many different tools. So if you as a tier one or as an OEM need to train your team, there are so many new ways and new techniques and technologies we can use to help you do that.
所以其实当然在现在的科技上，你有很多的工具可以做选择。那当然我们可以协助你去用更好的工具。那刚刚在上页你有看到一些图片呢，这也是以往它这个帮助的方法用数位的方法跟你实际的一些现场去做结合，比如说包含 VR 的一些头盔所以在荧幕上跟你现场呢就有一些指标上的一些协助这是人机协作来做这个现场新手的一些培训这是我们目前已经开发出来的技术。
So in conclusion, and just wrapping up, I think the message we're trying to bring across here is we're focused on two things. And within our realm of understanding, automating processes is a major drive over the next 20 years. Upskilling people is a major drive over the next 20 years. This is where we believe industry is going to spend a lot of its time and resources. We also believe that as our clients and customers, anyone spending time and energy or spending resources within the business needs to do so very wisely with a focus on these things.
好的，所以呢 Lloyd 在这边做一个总结所以就是在工业 4.0 这样子的一个方向上我们要做一些基础的设备的一些变更变革，但是不要忘了其实对人来说人才可以去做创新的这些问题解决问题的这些 solution， 所以这个还是我们两个最大的核心。
And if you need any help from us, obviously call Heidi. She's the one to speak to. And if you need any questions from me afterwards, please feel free to email me or reach out to me. Thank you very much, Heidi.
Okay, thank you, Lloyd. 当然，他就说有任何问题都欢迎大家跟我们做之后的一些联系好，谢谢 Lloyd 为我们的 present。